Hey, welcome to story time here at D-Lab Electronics. This time, a tale of a Tec Omni VII. So in the past, I posted a video showing how to replace the encoders on a Tec Omni VII transceiver. So I had a few inquiries afterwards. I actually sold a few of the encoders. But recently, I was contacted by Ham, and he had one of these units with 3 bad encoders. And he couldn't find anybody to do the work. So initially he just wanted to buy the parts. And then after I gave him a disclaimer abolishing my shop of any responsibility, because these are very delicate instruments. So with that information, he asked me if I'd be willing to install the encoders into the Tec. And I said, yes, I will, as long as that's all that radio needs. I'm not in the business of fixing Tec transceivers, but I know how to install the encoders. He said, no, they just need the encoders replaced. Everything else is fine. So I authorized shipment of the Tec to D-Lab. So the radio arrived safely, and in the package was a check for the full payment for the repair. So I thought, okay, since I have a break between a couple jobs, I'll go ahead and get this thing on the bench and knock it out. Well, as you know, the first thing I do with any radio or amplifier that hits the D-Lab dock is an initial inspection, okay? So here's what I found with the Tec. So I've made a list here so I don't miss any of the details. First off, when I looked at the front panel, I saw that all the silver skirts were missing from the encoder knobs. And the knobs were not seated all the way against the front panel like you'd normally see. So I emailed the owner, and he said, yeah, I removed those skirts so that the job would be easier for you. I thought, okay. Secondly, the bottom cabinet shell needs to fit in a groove across the bottom of the front plate. It was actually behind it, so it was putting pressure on the main control board, which could easily crack it. That's a very thin circuit board. So I started getting my suspicions. Third, the speaker terminals, when I took the top cover off, were broken, and they were held in place with some glue and a zip tie. Okay? And then fourth, I was inspecting the front circuit board where the encoders are mounted, and I found solder splatter. There was actually a string of solder across the terminals of the upper encoder. So it was quite obvious somebody was in there trying to perform this task. Then I went a little further into the inspection. Back on the final output board, there's some resistors that go to the finals, and they're all dark brown, if not black. They are overheated, indicating problems with the RF output section of the radio. So it appears as though I did not get the straight story on this Tec Omni VII. I began to smell a rat. All this spells liability for my shop. I can just hear it now. I sent my radio to D-Lab and it came back and the transmit doesn't work. I sent my radio to D-Lab and the receive is cutting in and out. I sent my radio to D-Lab and the front circuit board is cracked. All these things are liability issues for my shop. Had I known this information, I never would have allowed this radio to be shipped. Of course, I documented everything and took pictures. I contacted the owner and said the radio is being returned as is. So this is a no repair for D-Lab Electronics.